The rain hammered down on the cracked pavement of that godforsaken alley in Queens like it was trying to wash away the sins of the whole damn city, but it couldn't touch the fire raging in Levi's chest. He stood there, fists clenched, staring at the eviction notice taped to the door of his childhood home. Pink slip from his own blood, signed by his father's shaky hand. "You're dead to us?" the note read, in his mother's elegant cursive, the words blurring not from the downpour but from the hot sting of betrayal that tasted like bile on his tongue. Levi crumpled the paper in his fist, the ink smearing like fresh wounds, and let out a howl that echoed off the brick walls. A primal scream that wasn't just anger, but the shattering of every illusion he'd ever held about family, love, and the American dream that was supposed to cradle you when you fell. He'd always known he was different, even back when different meant sneaking peeks at the older boys in the high school locker room. Heart pounding like a drum in a rock concert he wasn't invited to. Levi Harlan, born and raised in the shadow of the Unisphere in Flushing Meadows, where the ghosts of the '64 World's Fair still whispered promises of progress that never quite reached families like his. His dad, Ronald Harlan Sr., a grizzled ex-cop turned security guard at LaGuardia, preached the gospel of hard work and straight-laced living over lukewarm Budweisers at the kitchen table. Mom, Evelyn, was the soft counterpoint, a schoolteacher with a laugh like wind chimes, baking apple pies that masked the rot beneath their picket fence facade. Levi was the golden boy, the one who aced AP classes and dreamed of Wall Street, not because he loved numbers, but because he loved the escape they promised. From the suffocating Sundays at St. Mary's, where Father O'Malley droned on about sin like it was a personal vendetta. At 18, he got into Columbia on a full ride, majoring in finance, and for a while the city swallowed him whole. Dorms reeking of ramen and ambition, late-night study sessions that blurred into hookups in the stacks of Butler Library. That's where he first tasted freedom. In the dim glow of a phone screen swiping right on Grindr, bodies pressing urgent and anonymous against the cold marble. But secrets have a way of festering in the Harlan household. It started with a careless text from a guy named Tyler, some poli-sci major with a jawline that could cut glass, popping up on Levi's phone during Christmas break. "Missed you last night, babe. Round 2. Ronald Sr. saw it first, snatching the device from the coffee table like it was a live grenade. The explosion was biblical. Shouts ricocheting off the floral wallpaper. Evelyn's sobs muffled into her apron as Dad hurled accusations like lightning bolts. "Faggot! Abomination! After everything we've given you." Levi tried to stand his ground, voice cracking like thin ice. "This is who I am, Dad. I can't change it." But Ronald's face twisted into something unrecognizable. Red-veined eyes bulging with a mix of revulsion and fear, the fear of what the neighbors might whisper, what the church ladies would cluck over coffee. "You're no son of mine," he growled, and that was it. The door slammed behind Levi that night, suitcase in hand, $20 in his wallet, and the weight of erasure settling like lead in his gut. He crashed on Tyler's couch for a week, then bounced to a series of sublets in Brooklyn, scraping by on barista shifts and student loans that felt more like shackles. Columbia became a battlefield, grades slipping as the isolation gnawed at him. Friends drifted, sensing the fracture. And Tyler? He ghosted after one too many "I need space" texts, leaving Levi staring at his reflection in the East River, wondering if jumping would feel like relief or just another failure. That's when Ronald entered his life. Not his father, but the other Ronald. Ron Whitaker, adjunct professor in the econ department. A silver fox type in his mid-40s with salt and pepper hair, wire-rimmed glasses that magnified eyes the color of storm clouds, and a voice like aged bourbon, smooth with a bite. Levi stumbled into his intermediate macro class as a Hail Mary to salvage his GPA. Slouching in the back row, hoodie pulled low. Ron noticed him on day one, not for the tardiness, but for the way Levi's pen scratched furious notes, like he was carving his survival into the margins. Office hours became their ritual. At first, it was all graphs and Keynesian theory, but Ron had a way of peeling back layers, asking questions that cut deeper than supply curves. "What's driving you, Harlan? Revenge? Redemption?" Levi shrugged it off, but the words stuck. Ron was openly gay, had been out since the '90s, marching in ACT-UP rallies when Levi was still in diapers. He shared stories over stale vending machine coffee. The lover lost to AIDS. The tenure battles fought in boardrooms thick with cigar smoke and homophobia. The system's rigged, Ron said one afternoon, leaning back in his creaky chair, tie loosened like an invitation. But you've got the fire to burn it down. Levi laughed it off, but that fire flickered brighter. Late nights turned to dinners at dive bars in the village, where Ron introduced him to gin and tonics and the art of reading a room full of suits. There was a pull, magnetic and terrifying. Ron's hand brushing Levi's when passing the salt, the way his laugh rumbled low in his chest. Levi told himself it was mentorship, nothing more. Until the night after midterms, rain lashing the windows of Ron's brownstone in Park Slope, and Levi, buzzed on cheap wine, confessed the whole ugly Harlan saga. Ron listened without interruption, then pulled him into a hug that smelled of sandalwood and old books. You're not erased, Levi. You're just beginning. Their lips met in the half-light, tentative at first, then hungry. A dam breaking after years of drought. It was messy, real. Teeth clashing, hands fumbling with buttons, the creak of the leather couch as they tumbled into each other. For the first time, Levi felt seen not as a mistake, but as a man worth desiring. They kept it quiet at first, stolen weekends in the Catskills, where leaves turned crimson like fresh bruises, and Ron taught him to fish, to breathe. But Levi's ambition sharpened. He interned at a boutique investment firm in Midtown, crunching numbers for hedge fund sharks who eyed him like fresh meat. Ron pushed him, don't just play their game, rewrite the rules. By graduation, Levi had a junior analyst gig at Whitaker Capital, Ron's own firm, a scrappy outfit specializing in ethical investments, green tech, and quietly funding queer nonprofits under the radar. Life started to stitch itself back together. Mornings tangled in Ron's sheets, the scent of espresso brewing as sunlight slanted through blinds. Evenings debating market volatility over takeout Thai. Ron's foot hooked around Levi's ankle under the table. It was domestic, profound, love as a quiet revolution. Levi inked a tattoo on his ribs, not forgotten, in looping script, a talisman against the void his family had carved. But the Harlans loomed like thunderheads. A birthday card arrived once, and signed with a check for $100. Guilt money, Levi figured, tossed like crumbs to a stray. He burned it in the sink, watching the flames dance. Ronald Sr. had retired early on a bad knee, scraping by on pension. Evelyn volunteered at the church food pantry, her smiles thinner each year. Levi drove by the old house once, engine idling, heart a war drum. The porch light flickered on, and for a split second he thought of knocking. But the note's words echoed, "You're dead to us." He gunned the engine instead, tires squealing into the night. Work consumed him. Whitaker Capital was thriving, Ron's vision of finance with a conscience drawing millennial money like flies to honey. Levi climbed fast, his spreadsheets turning heads, his pitches laced with a charisma honed in smoky bars. Ron mentored from the sidelines, pride swelling in his chest like a tide. "You're unstoppable," he'd murmur in the dark, fingers tracing Levi's spine. Then came the merger whisper, a big fish from Silicon Valley sniffing around, promising to catapult them into the stratosphere. Ron was ecstatic, pacing the office with that boyish grin Levi adored. This could change everything. For us, for the causes we back. Levi nodded, but unease gnawed at him. The suitor was Vanguard Ethics, helmed by a CEO with a reputation for greenwashing and boardroom purges. Due diligence dragged on, late nights blurring into dawn. It was during one such all-nighter that Levi's phone buzzed. A blocked number? Voicemail from an unknown. "Levi? It's Mom." Her words tumbled out, frail and fractured. "Dad's cancer? Stage 4. Lungs riddled like Swiss cheese from decades of chain smoking. He asks about you in his quiet moments. We were wrong, baby. Please come home." The world tilted. Levi played it back 10 times, each listen carving deeper. Ron found him slumped at his desk, eyes red-rimmed. "Go," Ron said simply, cupping his face. "Family's messy, but it's yours." Levi drove out that weekend, knuckles white on the wheel, the Queensboro Bridge a steel ribbon under stormy skies. The house smelled the same, stale coffee and mothballs. Evelyn enveloped him in a hug that crushed the air from his lungs, her frame bird-bone fragile. Ronald Sr. was propped in the recliner, oxygen mask fogging with each labored breath, skin jaundiced like old newspaper. Their eyes met, and for a heartbeat, time folded. Father and son, raw and exposed. "I'm sorry," Ronald rasped, voice a gravel whisper. "I was scared of losing you to that world." Levi knelt, hand hovering before clasping his father's papery one. Words failed, but tears didn't. They talked in fits about baseball games missed, the pride in Levi's voice on the phone years back, acing that econ final. Evelyn hovered, serving weak tea, her apologies a litany of if-onlys. Levi stayed 2 days, the weight lifting fractionally. On the drive back, he called Ron, voice thick. It was human, messy, but real. Ron's laugh was warm. "That's love, kid. The kind that scars but heals. But healing's a treacherous path." Back in the city, the merger talks heated up. Levi threw himself in, drafting proposals that gleamed like polished chrome. Ron pulled him aside one evening, in the conference room overlooking the Hudson. "There's a catch," he admitted, rubbing his neck. "Vanguard wants me out. Retirement package. Says I'm too legacy for their rebrand." Levi's blood ran cold. "Bullshit. You're the heart of this place." Ron shrugged. "Right. It's business, Levi. But with the payout, we could start fresh. Maybe our own firm, smaller, truer." The word hung sweet, but Levi's mind raced. He couldn't lose Ron, not now. Sleepless, he dug into Vanguard's filings, buried clauses, shell companies. What he uncovered chilled him. Ties to anti-LGBTQ lobbyists, funneled through PACs disguised as family values. The hypocrisy burned. Ron's firm, built on inclusion, swallowed by wolves in sheep's wool. He confronted Ron the next morning, printouts splayed across the desk. "We can't do this. It's poison." Ron's face hardened, then softened. "I know, but the board's pushing. Says it's sink or swim." Levi felt the fracture, subtle but seismic. For the first time, Ron looked at him not as equal, but as the junior, the one who didn't get the full boardroom chess. That night, over candlelight at their favorite Italian spot in Little Italy, Levi pressed. "Fight it, Ron. For us." Ron's fork paused midair, eyes distant. "I have fought, Levi, for decades. Maybe it's time to cash out. Build something new with you." The words thrilled, but doubt seeded. Levi tossed in bed later. Ron snores a steady rhythm beside him. Was this love or leverage? The merger loomed, a guillotine blade. Weeks blurred into a frenzy of negotiations. The Whitaker offices buzzing like a hive on the verge of swarming. Levi became the reluctant warrior, rallying junior staff with impassioned emails about preserving our soul, while Ron played diplomat, schmoozing Vanguard execs over steak at Del Frisco's. Levi watched from afar, nursing grudges in dive bars with cheap whiskey, the burn a poor substitute for the ache in his chest. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the Empire State, painting the skyline in bruised purples, Levi found Ron in his corner office, staring at a photo on his desk. Him and his late partner, arms slung casual around shoulders at some long-ago pride parade. "You ever regret it?" Levi asked, leaning against the doorframe, sleeves rolled up from another fruitless strategy session. Ron turned, smile faint. "Regret fighting? Never. But the cost. Yeah, sometimes." He patted the chair opposite, and Levi sank into it, the leather sighing like an old confession. Ron poured 2 fingers of scotch from the decanter, the amber liquid catching the light. "When Mark died, I thought I'd shatter. AIDS took him quick, 89 before the cocktails. I buried the anger in work, built this place on his memory. But now, feels like selling his ghost." Levi's throat tightened. He'd heard the stories, but never like this raw, unvarnished, Ron's voice cracking on Mark's name. "Then don't," Levi urged, hand reaching across the desk. "Walk away clean. We start over. You, me, a laptop and a dream. Ron's eyes searched his stormy depths, holding secrets Levi yearned to plumb. You're young, Levi, full of that fire I envy. But life's not a rom-com. Bills stack, boards mutiny. He squeezed Levi's hand, thumb stroking knuckles. Trust me on this. Trust. The word lodged like a splinter. That night, tangled in sheets sticky with summer sweat, Levi traced the scars on Ron's back. Faint ridges from a bar fight in the 90s, defending a drag queen from skinheads. I love you, Levi whispered into the hollow of his neck, the admission of vow. Ron stirred, murmuring assent, but his embrace felt looser, like a knot half undone. The call from home came like a sucker punch. Evelyn, voice quavering over the line. He's slipping, Levi. The chemo's not. Doctors say weeks, maybe. Levi's world narrowed to the hum of the subway car rattling beneath him, en route to a client lunch he now abandoned. He bolted to Queens, the old neighborhood a time warp, bodegas with faded awnings, kids on bikes dodging potholes. Ronald Sr. was a specter in the hospital bed, tubes snaking like accusations, monitors beeping a dirge. Evelyn dozed in the vinyl chair, rosary beads clutched like lifelines. Son, Dad wheezed, eyes fluttering open. Levi perched on the edge, willing his hand steady as it enveloped his father's. I see it now, Ronald murmured, breath rattling. The fear. It blinded me. You were always the brave one. Tears carved hot paths down Levi's cheeks. I forgive you, Dad. Just rest. They spoke in whispers of little league triumphs. The time Levi fixed the carburetor on Dad's old Chevy, Evelyn's secret recipe for meatloaf. No mention of the note, the erasure. Some wounds cauterized in silence. When Ronald squeezed his hand, feeble but fierce, Levi felt the fracture mend, jagged edges slotting into place. He stayed through the night, watching the man who'd shaped him dissolve into morphine dreams. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving, and by noon, the monitors flatlined. Evelyn collapsed against Levi, her wail a keening that echoed his own buried grief. At the funeral, sparse, Methodist rite under drizzling skies, neighbors offered condolences laced with curiosity. Heard you made good in the city, Levi. He nodded through the haze, burying his father beside a plot Evelyn would join one day. The headstone stark. Ronald Harlan Sr., beloved husband and father. Back in Manhattan, Ron was a rock, holding Levi through the sobs that racked him like fever chills, cooking lumpy oatmeal and murmuring poetry from Whitman. I am he that walks with the tender and growing night. Love deepened in the crucible, intimate and unyielding. They made plans. Post-merger sabbatical in Provincetown, where Ron promised to teach Levi to sail, waves crashing like applause. But the merger soured. Whispers in the halls. Vanguard's due diligence uncovering irregularities in Whitaker's books. Levi's stomach nodded. He'd audited those ledgers himself, spotless as driven snow. Ron waved it off. Corporate gamesmanship. They'll fold. Yet tension coiled, dinners turning terse, Ron snapping at interns, Levi retreating to spreadsheets like a bunker. The betrayal hit like a freight train. Late one Thursday, Levi worked solo in the office, fluorescent hum the only company, when his email pinged, a forward from an anonymous sender, board minutes from Vanguard. Ron's signature at the bottom, greenlighting the sale of assets, including the Queer Youth Shelter Fund, reallocated to higher ROI fossil fuel proxies. Necessary pivot for viability. The memo read, Ron's words cold as legalese. Levi's vision tunneled. He stormed Ron's apartment, key turning with a click that sounded like finality. Ron was on the couch, laptop balanced on knees, tie discarded like shed skin. What the fuck is this? Levi thrust the printout, voice a whip crack. Ron's face drained of color. Levi, listen. No, you sold us out. The shelter, the kids. For what? A golden parachute. Fury boiled, laced with heartbreak. This was the man who'd held him through his father's death. Whispered futures in the dark. Betrayer. It wasn't like that, Ron pleaded, rising, hands outstretched. The board forced it. threatened lawsuits, audits. I bought time, negotiated protections. But the memo lied in black and white, Ron's concession stark. You lied to me. Levi's voice broke, the room spinning. I trusted you, loved you. The words hung, a guillotine drop. Ron's eyes glistened. I did it for us. For a future without this grind. He stepped closer, scent of cologne, a knife twist. We can still. Levi recoiled. Us? There is no us. He grabbed his jacket, the door slamming like a gunshot. Outside, the city roared indifferent, taxis splashing gutters as Levi stumbled into the night, chest caving with sobs. Betrayal tasted like ash, the love he'd built now rubble. He didn't go back. Crashed at a colleague's in Chelsea, the futon lumpy as regret. Days bled into a haze, calling out sick, staring at the ceiling, the tattoo on his ribs itching like accusation. Ron's texts piled up. Talk to me. I fucked up. Please. Levi deleted them unread. The void his family left now echoed by this fresh excision. Evelyn called midweek, voice tentative. How are you holding? Sweetheart? That. He'd want you strong. Levi choked out niceties, the lie bitter. Strength? He felt flayed, a nerve exposed to the wind. Work became his anchor, ironic salvation. He tendered his resignation to Vanguard's interim team, polite fuck you via email, then poached key staff for a rogue venture. Harlan Equity, bootstrapped on savings and sheer spite. Ethical investing, unapologetically queer-fronted, targeting startups in biotech and renewable energy. The pitch deck wrote itself in manic bursts, fueled by black coffee and vendetta. Launch night was a dive bar in Williamsburg, hipsters nursing IPAs as Levi took the makeshift stage. A milk crate, really, spotlit by Edison bulbs. They tried to erase me, he began, voice steady for the first time in weeks. Family, lovers, the system. But erasure, it's just blank canvas. The room hushed, then erupted. Cheers. Clinks. A drag queen in the corner hollering, Yas, King. Ron showed up uninvited, nursing a beer in the shadows. Their eyes locked across the smoke, a current arcing pain, longing, unresolved. Levi faltered mid-sentence, then powered through, the applause a bomb. Later, as stragglers milled, Ron approached, hands in pockets. Proud of you, he said, simple, eyes shadowed. Levi's resolve wavered. Why'd you do it, Ron? Really? Ron sighed, leaning against the bar. Fear, again, of losing everything, the firm, you. Mark's voice in my head. Don't let them win. But I did, bending till I broke. The honesty pierced. Levi wanted to hate him, but love's a stubborn weed. I can't. Not yet. Ron nodded, slipping a card into Levi's hand. His new consulting gig, post-buyout. When you're ready, if ever. He walked out into the crisp fall air, leaves skittering like fleeing thoughts. Harlan Equity gained traction. Seed funding from a venture angel who'd lost a son to conversion therapy. Press inquiry hailing Levi as the queer Warren Buffett. Evelyn visited once, tentative bridge building over dim sum in Chinatown, her eyes lighting at tales of boardroom battles. Your father. He kept that photo of you at graduation on his nightstand. The words mended another thread. Levi hugged her tighter, the scent of lavender a tether to what was. But revenge simmered, a slow burn. Vanguard stock dipped on scandal. Levi's anonymous tip to Bloomberg about the lobbyist ties, substantiated with leaked docs. Ron's payout, tied up in litigation, the man himself testifying in depositions that dragged like quicksand. Levi watched from afar, schadenfreude curdling into something hollow. Holiday lights twinkled early, garish against the gray. Levi stood on his fire escape, city sprawl a glittering promise. When his phone buzzed, Evelyn. Christmas? Just us. He typed yes, then hesitated, adding Ron's number to a group text. Truce. The reply came swift. I'd like that. Winter clamped down on New York like a vice, the wind off the Hudson slicing through overcoats as if they were tissue. Levi's new office. A loft in Soho with exposed brick and views of the Bowery, hummed with the low buzz of possibility. Harlan Equity had snagged its first big win. A $2 million round for a trans-led app developing AI therapy tools for queer youth. The wire transfer hit on a Friday, champagne corks popping amid high fives and selfies for the gram. Levi allowed himself a grin in the mirror that night. Tie loosened, the man staring back less haunted, more hewn. But ghosts lingered. Ron's truce text hung unanswered in limbo. A digital olive branch Levi turned over like a hot coal. Evelyn's Christmas invite tugged harder. Visions of her stringing popcorn garlands. The tree lot on Roosevelt Avenue where Dad used to haggle for the scrawniest spruce. Family, fractured but flickering. He booked the train to Penn Station, Amtrak sway a metronome to his churning thoughts. The holiday unfolded in quiet chaos. Evelyn fussing over a turkey too dry. The dining table set for ghosts with an extra chair. Levi arrived with armfuls of gifts. Silk scarf for her. A leather-bound journal for himself, inscribed, "Rewrite the ending." They lit Advent candles. Evelyn's prayers soft and inclusive now. No fire and brimstone edges. "Your father's soul. I think he found peace," she said over eggnog, eyes misty. Levi nodded, throat tight, toasting to second chances. Ron showed late, snow-dusted and sheepish, bearing a bottle of Veuve and a tentative smile. The air crackled as he shrugged off his coat, revealing a sweater Levi recognized. Cashmere, gift from last Yuletide. Evelyn enveloped him in a hug, chattering about old friends, oblivious or willfully blind to the undercurrents. Dinner was a minefield. Small talk about weather veering into Ron's consulting woes, Vanguard's unraveling like a cheap sweater. "You always were the fixer," Evelyn said warmly, passing the mashed potatoes. Ron chuckled, but his eyes flicked to Levi, apologetic. Under the table, their knees brushed. "Accidental?" Levi pulled away, pulse hammering. After pie, as Evelyn dozed by the fire, crackling logs casting golden flickers, Ron and Levi stepped onto the frost-laced porch. The neighborhood slumbered under street lamps' glow, distant carols floating like smoke. "Thanks for coming," Levi murmured, breath clouding. "Wouldn't miss it." Ron leaned on the railing, gloved hands clasped. "You look good. Stronger." Levi snorted. Therapy and spite. Killer combo. Silence stretched, companionable yet charged. Then, softer. "The betrayal gutted me, Ron. I built walls after my family. You snuck past them." Ron's jaw tightened. "I know. Self-sabotage, classic me. Mark used to call it my white knight complex. Saving everyone but myself." He turned, eyes earnest in the porch light. "I never stopped loving you, Levi. Still don't." The admission landed like snow, soft, inevitable. Levi's resolve cracked, hand rising to cup Ron's cheek, thumb tracing the silver stubble. "Prove it," he whispered, and their kiss ignited slow, then fervent. Lips parting, tongues tentative, the taste of cinnamon and regret. They broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, the world narrowing to heartbeats. Evelyn's voice called from within. "Boys? Hot cocoa." And they laughed, breathless, re-entering like conspirators. The night wove fragile threads. Board games where Ron cheated shamelessly at Scrabble. Evelyn's stories of Levi's toddler tantrums. A midnight toast to Ronald Sr., tears mingling with laughter. Levi returned to the city buoyant, texts with Ron resuming, flirty emojis, inside jokes. Harlan Equity surged. A profile in Forbes' 30 Under 30 queer edition dubbed Levi, the Avenger investor, glossing over the pain with punchy prose. He framed the clipping, hung it beside his desk, a talisman. Spring thawed the streets, cherry blossoms rioting pink along the High Line. Ron and Levi rebuilt deliberate. Coffee dates in sun-dappled cafes, weekends antiquing in Hudson Valley barns, where Levi unearthed a vintage typewriter and pecked out love letters, inky and imperfect. Intimacy reignited, tender explorations in the loft's king bed, bodies mapping familiar terrains with new reverence. "You're my anchor," Ron murmured one dawn, fingers laced with Levi's, city awakening beyond the sash windows. But success bred shadows. Vanguard CEO, a slick operator named Harlan, irony's cruel jest, sued for defamation over Levi's leaks, claiming malicious interference. Subpoenas flew, lawyers circled like vultures. Ron offered to testify, "I've got the dirt." But Levi waved him off. "This is my fight." Court dates loomed. A June swelter turning the courthouse marble to a sauna. Levi prepped in stolen hours. Evelyn sending care packages of her famous lemon bars. Scrawled notes, "Fight fair, but fight smart." Ron paced the loft, silver hair tousled, worry etching lines deeper. "What if they bury you? Then I rise from the ashes." Levi quipped, but fear gnawed, losing the firm, the momentum, the fragile peace. The trial was a circus. Tabloid reporters sniffing for scandal. Vanguard's counsel painting Levi as a vengeful ex-employee with an axe to grind. On the stand, Levi faced the barrage coolly. "Ethics aren't optional. They exposed hypocrisy. I shone light." Cross-examination dug personal. His coming out, the family rift, the Ron entanglement, twisted into motivated by romantic spite. Ron watched from the gallery, knuckles white on the bench. When Levi glanced back, mid-grilling, Ron's nod was steel. "I see you." The verdict dropped like summer thunder. Vanguard's claims dismissed, sanctions slapped for frivolous litigation. Levi emerged blinking into flashbulbs. Evelyn's hug crushing. Ron's kiss chaste but claiming on the steps. "You did it!" Ron breathed, pride luminous. The win catapulted Harlan equity. Investors flocking. A TEDx invite for Levi to riff on queer capital. Reclaiming the narrative. Backstage in Boston, nerves jangling. Ron slipped him a note. "Break a leg, then come home to me." The talk slayed. Standing ovation, viral clips, Levi's voice steady. "Erasure isn't erasure if you rewrite the story." Summer deepened their bond. Road trip down the coast in a rented Mustang. Motels with neon vacancies, lobster rolls in Maine, making love to ocean roar. Ron opened up about Mark's final days, hospital vigils, the rage at a system that devalued lives like disposable income. Levi shared his father's last words. The forgiveness a hard-won grace. "We're both survivors," Levi said one twilight on a Rehoboth beach, sand gritty between toes, waves lapping like applause. Evelyn joined them once, awkward but earnest. A weekend in the Poconos where she grilled Ron on his intentions, then confessed over Esmeralda's, "I prayed for this, for you to find joy." Her blessing sealed cracks Levi hadn't known lingered. Fall brought harvest moons and board expansions. Harlan Equity hit 8 figures in AUM, backing a network of LGBTQ+ clinics. Levi proposed informally over Skyline brunch. Ringless, on one knee amid mimosas. "Build empires with me?" Ron's yes was a sob laugh, sealing it with a kiss that tasted like forever. Yet under the idle tremors, Ron's cough started innocuous. A tickle from autumn chill, he claimed. Levi noticed the fatigue, the way he'd nap mid-afternoon, chalking it to old man bones. Checkups yielded shrugs. Stress, allergies. Ron waved off concern. "I'm fine. Focus on the gala." The annual fundraiser glittered at the Whitney. Black ties, donors dripping diamonds, auction paddles waving for queer art lots. Levi schmoozed, Ron at his side, arm possessive on his waist. Evelyn arrived radiant in emerald, toasting to family, found and forged. As speeches wrapped, Ron pulled Levi aside, alcove shadows intimate. "I love you more than words," he said, voice husky, pressing a velvet box into Levi's palm. A signet ring, engraved, unbroken. Levi's heart swelled, slipping it on. But Ron's grip faltered, face ashen. "Just dizzy," he muttered, waving off fuss. Paramedics swarmed discreetly, whisking him to Mount Sinai amid gasps. The ER wait was purgatory. Fluorescent buzz, Evelyn's hand cold in Levi's, prayers murmured. Diagnosis landed like a gut punch. Pancreatic, advanced, metastasized. "Months," the oncologist said, charts impersonal. Ron, hooked to IVs, cracked a joke. Guess I saved the best for last. Levi shattered, sobs wrenched from depths, collapsing into Ron's bed rail. Not you. Not now. Ron stroked his hair, steady. We've had a hell of a run, kid. Make it count. The fight blurred into a montage. Chemo suites reeking of antiseptic, Ron's frame shrinking, Levi shuttling between board meetings and bedside vigils. Evelyn baked pies he couldn't eat, reading aloud from dog-eared Neruda. Harlan Equity ran on autopilot, Levi's pitches hollow but effective. One crisp November eve, as leaves skeletonized, Ron rallied for a walk in Central Park. Wheelchair paths crunching under tires, Bethesda fountain misting like tears. Remember our first fight? Ron teased, voice thin. Levi laughed through sniffles. You called Keynes a hack. Ron's hand found his. And you defended him like a lover. That's when I knew. They paused at Bow Bridge, arches framing the reservoir's silver. Promise me, Ron rasped, eyes fierce. Don't let them erase this. Keep fighting. Levi nodded, vow carved in bone. Always. That night, Ron slipped away peaceful, monitors easing to silence. Levi curled beside him, Evelyn's rosary beads entwined with their fingers. The city slept, indifferent, as Levi howled silent into the void. An echo of that alley years back, but richer, ring-weighted. Grief is a thief, pilfering breath in quiet moments. Grocery aisles where cereal choices mock domestic dreams, or dawn commutes when the empty passenger seat yawns like accusation. Levi navigated the fog methodical. Ron's ashes scattered in the Catskills, per his will, amid pines whispering benedictions. The loft cleared of his scent, sandalwood lingering stubborn in drawers. Harlan Equity became Leviathan. $50 million AUM, clinics expanding to rural outposts, Levi's face on panels from Davos to DC, preaching inclusive capital to suits who nodded politely. Evelyn anchored him, their bond reforged in Loss's forge. Sundays at her Queen's bungalow evolved ritual. Pot roast simmering, photo albums poured over. Ron beaming at a long-ago barbecue, Dad's arms slung proud around Levi's teen shoulders. He'd be proud, she'd say, patting his hand, her own veined like maps of endurance. Levi confided the doubts. What if I burn out? Become the monster I fought? She'd smile, eyes crinkling. Then rest, son. Love isn't a ledger. Publicly, he was unbreakable. Keynote at Stonewall's 50th Redux. Crowd roaring as he quipped, erasure tried. We etched deeper. Privately, therapy unpacked the layers. The family scar, Ron's betrayal turned blessing, the love that scarred sweetest. His therapist, a no-nonsense dyke named Carla, leaned forward. Revenge was your armor. What's beneath? Vulnerability, raw as flayed skin. Levi dated tentatively. A barista with tattoos and easy laugh, fizzled after 3 coffees. A lawyer whose intensity mirrored too close Ron's fire. Casual, he told himself, but nights ended solo. Ron's ring glinting accusatory on the nightstand. Vanguard's empire crumbled spectacular. CEO Harlan indicted for fraud. The firm carved up by regulators. Headlines crowing, House of Cards collapses. Levi watched from his desk, schadenfreude stale as week-old bread. A letter arrived, forwarded from Ron's old P.O. box. Harlan's confession, scrawled jailhouse shaky. You were right. Rot from the top. Sorry doesn't fix, but it's owed. Levi burned it, ashes to wind, closure's pyre. Spring bloomed defiant, dogwoods flaming white against blue. Harlan Equity's gala that year honored Ron. Plaque unveiled amid toasts, Levi's speech a gut punch. He taught me finance is fiction unless it feeds souls. Evelyn teared up from the front row, arm linked with a new bow. A widower from church, gentle as she deserved. Go on live, she'd urged Levi pre-event. He'd hate seeing you stalled. Post-gala, buzz electric, Levi slipped out to the terrace, skyline a jeweled sprawl. A voice cut the night. Mind company? He turned, Tyler, ex from Columbia days, older now, laugh lines framing eyes still sharp. Small world, he'd pivoted to nonprofit tech, funding the very apps Levi backed. They talked till stars wheeled. Old wounds laughed off, ambitions aligned. Tyler's hand brushed Levi's glass, electric, unforced. "Dinner?" he ventured, grin crooked. Levi paused, Ron's ring heavy. Then, "Yeah, why not?" Dating bloomed slow, organic, farmers markets in Union Square. Tyler's hand warm in his. Debates over craft brews on stoops. Sex was revelation. Playful, present, no ghosts hovering. Tyler got the scars without probing. Tracing Levi's tattoo with lips. Beautiful. Evelyn approved over brunch, eyeing Tyler's earnest bluster. "Reminds me of your father. Stubborn good." Levi chuckled, heart lighter. Harlan equity thrived. A biotech coup cured rare genetic markers in queer lineages. Press dubbing it Harlan's miracle. But summer storms brewed internal. A board retreat in the Berkshires unearthed fault lines. Investors pushing aggressive plays. Scale at all costs. Levi resisted, echoing Ron. Soul first. Tensions peaked at a lakeside bonfire. Sparks flying as a venture capitalist sneered. Sentiments cute, but margins don't lie. Levi stood, fire-lit fierce. Margins mean nothing if they bleed people dry. The air crackled. 2 VCs walked, but 3 stayed, loyalty forged in flame. Back in the city, Tyler waited with pizza and a hug. Heard the war stories. You're a force. Fall deepened commitments. Tyler moving a toothbrush into the loft. Weekends sailing on the Sound, where Levi scattered metaphorical ashes of doubt to the spray. Evelyn's wedding loomed. Small, beachside in the Hamptons, her gown simple lace. Levi walked her down the aisle, Dad's cufflinks pinned to his lapel, Tyler's hand steady at his back. Vows exchanged under gulls' cries, Levi's eyes pricked. "Happy," Tyler whispered later, sand shifting underfoot. "Getting there." Winter whispered change. A call from an old contact. Vanguard remnants reforming under ethical oversight, seeking Harlan partnership. Levi mulled, consulting Evelyn over cocoa. Forgive and merge? Or let die? She stirred marshmallows thoughtful. Your father. He made peace late. Don't wait. The meeting was boardroom neutral, glass walls, midtown hum. The new chair, a woman with steel hair and sharper gaze, extended hand. We owe you. Let's build right. Levi shook, terms etched fair. Protections for queer funds, transparency clauses ironclad. Press hailed redemption arc. But Levi knew truth. Humanity's messy weave. Not fairy tale. Tyler's proposal came spring equinox. Cherry petals confetti on the high line. Rings simple platinum. Engraved new chapter. Levi's yes was unhesitant. Sealing with a kiss amid joggers' blur. Wedding plans wove casual. Backyard affair in Queens. Evelyn's garden blooming riot. The eve, Levi walked the old alley, rain pattering soft. No howls now. Reflection gleamed in puddles. Man remade, scars badges. Ron's voice echoed faint. Keep fighting. He would, for Tyler's dreams. Evelyn's joys, the legacies intertwined. Ceremony dawned golden. Tyler's vows a vow. You pulled me from my own erasures. Together, unbreakable. Rings exchanged. Cheers erupted. Levi's heart full circle. Years unspooled. Harlan Equity Global. Clinics healing continents. Kids mentored in boardrooms bearing Ron's name. Evelyn's laugh rang at grandkids' birthdays. Adopted. Boisterous. Tyler's tech scaled. Bridging divides Levi funded. One dusk. Levi stood on that fire escape. City eternal below. Tyler's arm warm around waist. Worth it, Tyler murmured. Levi turned, kiss soft. Every scar. Decades etched their patina gentle. Silver threading Levi's temples. Tyler's once-cropped hair curling long. Evelyn's bungalow a haven for grand chaos. 2 boys, wild as weeds, tumbling with her widower's easy grin. Harlan Equity towered, a colossus of conscience. Endowments for AIDS research echoing Ron's fire. Scholarships pulling queer kids from alleys like Levi's own. Awards piled, Humanitarian of the Year at the Tonys, a street named in Soho, Harlan Way, rainbow bricks inlaid. Reflections came unbidden. Anniversaries marked with Catskills pilgrimages. Ashes long settled but spirits stirred in wind. Tyler, ever the archivist, compiled a scrapbook. Yellowed clippings of Vanguard's fall. Ron's obit framed beside their wedding photo. Our mosaic, he'd say, flipping pages over Merlot. Levi mentored relentless. Interns wide-eyed, absorbing tales of erasure's bite. Pain's the forge, he'd lecture, voice gravel-honeyed. But love, the hammer that shapes. Evelyn passed gentle at 92. Garden bed her beer, Levi eulogizing amid blooms. She taught forgiveness not as weakness, but wings. The boys, teens now, flanked him. Eldest with Tyler's wit, younger Ron's quiet storm, promising, "We'll carry it, Dad." Legacy bloomed viral. A docuseries, erased no more. Streaming Levi's arc, raw interviews, alley recreations, Ron's letters read voice cracking. Critics raved humanist triumph. But Levi prized a fan note. Your story saved mine. Twilight years gifted leisure. Sabbaticals in Tuscany, vines heavy as memories. Tyler's hand arthritic but sure in his. They sailed again. Rehoboth waves salting beards, debating grandkids' futures over sunsets. Think we did good? Tyler asked once, anchor dropped, stars pricking velvet. Levi leaned head on shoulder. Better than good. Whole. The end crept sly. Diagnosis over coffee, pancreatic irony's cruel wink. Levi faced it unflinching, Tyler's vigil mirror to his own with Ron. No regrets. Tyler pressed, hospice bed soft, monitors hushed. Levi cupped his face, ring glinting faint. None. You? The rewrite of my life. Tyler slipped away, dawn kissed, breath easing to quiet. Levi held vigil solo, then scattered ashes mingled. Ron, Tyler, the loves layered like city strata. Alone but not, grandkids orbiting, firm helmed by protégés, Evelyn's garden eternal. Levi wrote final missive, unsealed for the boys. They tried to erase me, family, lovers, fate, but I etched back, fiercer, fuller, pay it forward. Love without ledger. He walked the alley last time, cane tapping rhythm, rain a benediction. No howl, just smile, city pulse his own. The unisphere loomed distant, progress's orb, world's fair indeed. In the end, erasure yielded to inscription. A life scrawled bold, ink indelible, American dream reclaimed not in spite, but grace.